We're starting at 8:30, so just so I can stay on schedule, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. And this is informal, ask questions, anything you want. And I just want to, stress to you that the process is the same, the process is the same that you do for all students. However, different advisors may take a different approach to it. So some people, may wait till their advisee gets in their office and then pull up everything they need for them. Other advisors may have it all pulled up and ready to go. So it just depends on how much time you have, and if you know they're coming in. If I make appointments with an advisee, I go ahead and put them on my calendar, and then I go ahead and try to pull up the interactive degree plan for whatever area they're studying, and I go ahead and go into PeopleSoft, and I look to see what they've already taken, and I start filling in the blanks.
Until you get burned so many times, and I just quit doing that.
Well, and
They don't show up.
sometimes they don't show up, you're right, sometimes advisees don't show up but I just put it in a file, and then I just have it the next time they come in. So I've got that little file of no-shows, and I just put them all in that one little file, and then I keep them, so when they do show up, I've got it already to go. So I'm gonna start out with the basics, and for you all who've done this before, this is gonna be easy for you, but we've got 3 newbies that have not done anything. Okay, so we're gonna start out with that. So I'm gonna show you a couple of things that you need to know where you can locate things. You need to know where the class schedule is online. Does everybody know how to get to it? Okay. Anybody else? So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up. I'm gonna pull up the complete one. Also, I want to show you again that where is it? Well, we'll just do that first. So what I'm going to do is, you have a handout right here, this handout right here. A lot of people, we teach classes in different ways and modalities. Some classes are offered on by terms. A by term can be a week late start class. So that gives those people who didn't register or didn't think they wanted to come to college the very first week an additional week. So those are 15-week classes. We also offer courses in 8-week sessions. We also offer courses in 12-week sessions. So if you'll notice, up here, you've got like that 35BJ. That is a 1-week late start class. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not. That one isn't here. 35BZ, that's an online class. So I've got you a little list here of what all those mean. So if you notice, if you have a 3501 section, it's always in the section column. If you have 3501, that is an in-class section that starts the very first week of school. 35L1, L stands for lab, okay? 35Z1, that's the first section of an online class. If it's 35Z2, that's the second section. So there's 2 of those classes. If it's 35Z3, that means there's 3 sections of that class online. Okay. E1 means it's an evening section. If you have an EY, that means Y stands for hybrid. And if it's EY, it means it's a hybrid that's taught in the evening. If you have a BJ, that is a bi-term class that starts 1 week late. J is 1 week late. B is bi-term. You got 35ZJ, that means it's a week late start class online. Sounds like a foreign language, doesn't it? Okay, VE means you've got a bi-term, 1 week late, that's evening. VY, 1 week late hybrid. YT. T means Y means it's a hybrid. T means it's 8 weeks. Okay. ZT means it's online 8 weeks. If you have a 35P, that means it's paired. That's where you get your English 101 and your English 100, your math 150, 100, and your psychology and reading. They're paired, so those need to go together. EP means it's an evening paired section. YP means it's a hybrid paired section. ZP means it is an online paired section. If you have a Q at the end of it, a BQ, B stands for bi-term, which means it is a 12-week class. So we have some classes that start in October. We have some that start in February. We'll have some that start in February. We'll have some that start in March. So 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks, and 16 weeks. Okay. So those are just some things. If you have an H by it, it has 3-5H. That means it is a section just for honors students. So don't put anybody in an H class unless they're in the honors program. They'll kick them out. K. If you have K, that means it's usually a clinical section. Nursing, MLT, medical assisting, you may have Ks if you have clinics. Okay. So those are things that you want to look at. So if you're filling out this form, let's just look at this form. If you're looking at that form, and let's just go down here and find a class, any class, let's sign up for an art class, any art class. So what you're going to do is the PS class number is the 5-digit number at the very end. So you're going to put your PS class number, go ahead and write a number in. Some of you all haven't done this before. Okay? So put your number, your class number is at 8, it's 5 digits, if you can see it. You may want to pull up something on your thing. So your PS class number, you're filling this out for your student. You're going to be filling this out for your advisees when they come in to meet you. Then you're going to give them the yellow copy, and you keep the white copy and you turn it into admissions as soon as possible. They need that white copy. They have to upload that into OnBase. Okay? So you put your class number down, it doesn't matter which one. Let's just say we're going to put in, this one is 86577. That's your course number or your class number. The prefix is the 3 letters, ART. The number is 106, or whatever one you're doing. And the section, this is 35BQ. So that means it's a bi-term, and it is actually a 12-week class. It starts in February. Okay. And the credit hours, you put down as 3. The credit hours is on down here. Right there. The days, Monday and Wednesday, 11 to 12:20. Days and time. So you'll be filling this out when you work with your advisees. So they'll have this. Now, you'll notice at the bottom, anybody have any questions so far on how you complete this? Let me just tell you one other thing. Some labs have a course number to them, a class number. Like your labs probably have a class number to them because you have probably more than one section. Some labs have the same number as the course. You don't have to put them down twice, just put it down once. Most all of them, if they're a lab, they do have different numbers, but occasionally you may run into a course that has a lab number the same as a course, just put it down once.
And
Now,
when you say turn it into admissions, keep the white copy, turn it into admissions. Who is that?
Tammie, Zuber.
Oh,
Tammie Zuber back
okay,
there.
hi.
And Lavonda.
Oh, okay.
But make sure you turn those
right
in.
there in the start center.
Yes, start,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Or if there's nobody there.
There's nobody there, you
behind
leave it
that
at the desk.
When you go to the start center, they will take you
Oh,
to it.
okay.
There's nobody there.
Now look at the bottom of that page. It says service indicators checked. Yes.
Why do they make some have a separate lab and some don't? What is that?
Because you may have more than one lab. Like, see, for example, anatomy and physiology, they have like 3 labs, and you take the class a certain day, but then you have 3 different options for the lab. So a student may say, I'd rather take the lab on Tuesday instead of Thursday.
Right, but why do some labs have the same section or the same number as the lecture and some have separate?
I don't know. Do you know the answer to that, Tammie?
Why would
Why do some courses have a separate lab number and some don't? They have the same number as the course.
But some of them, if the lab does not get a grade,
The lab does not get a grade.
I mean, a lot of times that's what it is, I mean, it'll list it.
That
but-
makes sense.
Cause
So if you don't get a
you
separate
don't have to
lab
put those
grade,
in.
they may not do that. I don't know.
Some labs have a grade, some do not, and I don't know why they
Yeah.
put, why they're set up, why they're, the way they're set up. I
It's
don't
something to
know.
do with people solve, I would think,
Yeah.
but I'm not really sure.
If someone cause I've got classes that I've actually got a lab that's mixed in with my regular
Yes.
class.
I do too.
And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where if they can't pass one, they don't pass either.
Right.
That's kind of the way it is, like especially with electrical theory class, if you can't,
Right.
so they don't split them up. So whatever grade you get on one, you get on both. It's kind of how that works.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not
all the
sure.
labs
I have
and everything
both,
are-
yeah.
And I've got the other ones too, where it's just lab by
I
itself.
think whoever does the schedule, our division assistants usually get the schedule from the division chairs. So whoever does the schedule, some put it in as the same, some put it in as separate. So I guess you just need to talk to your division assistant and let them know if you want them to be separate or not. I don't know. All right, but look at the bottom there, good questions. Look at the bottom there where it says service indicators have been checked. Let me go here. When you pull up their record on, let's see here. Let me just take, let me just take this one for a second. I'm gonna show you how to save all these so that you can put them into your favorites. So you'll get to them faster without having to go through a lot of stuff. All right, so when you pull up your students' records, you're gonna pull this up on PeopleSoft, but we're gonna go through that whole process. But when you see where it says on this, service indicators have been checked, see that little star, that little red star at the top? That's your service indicator icon. If it doesn't have a little circle with an X through it, they're good. Okay. And you can actually go to, up here at the top, you can go here to service indicators, negative service indicators. So she has nothing on her. If she did, you could click on this. I said, you go back here, and right here, if you see that where it has a little circle with an X through it, then that means they have a negative service indicator. You cannot enroll them. They cannot get registered with a negative service indicator. So it'll tell you what that service indicator is. If it's finances, they need to go to the business office, they owe money. So it'll tell you when you go to that page. Then it says prerequisites have been checked. Now this is where you have to look for the test scores. Okay, Fred? This is where you have to look at their test scores. If they are taking, for example, English 101 or Math 150 or anything, you need to look at their test scores. So what you're going to do is you go right up here where it says test scores. Click
We're
on
still
test.
inside PS student information.
Yeah, and I'm gonna walk you through that whole process, but I just want you to get to the form first.
And brought some of my advisee list here.
Good,
So use them as a
Hey
case.
Kim, I got a question. Like when you went to that specific student, do you have to always put in their name? There's no way to go from that advising list to click on it and it just takes you there.
There is a way.
Okay.
And I'll see if I can find it. You would not believe all the different things you can do here. And now I
Because it
know
seems
what I
kinda
do.
complicated to.
Yeah, there is a way, but I'll
No,
see.
it's okay.
When they get to it, I may
Okay.
have it in my nose. We'll see.
Okay.
All right, so when you say prerequisites have been met by, you can say they've been met by test scores. You can say they've been met, if they've taken English 101 and you're putting them in English 102, then they've met it by their previous coursework. You can't take English 102 if you don't take English 101. So you can say test scores, you can say previous coursework, however you did that, you can mention it that way. Hey, David.
Hey,
We're just going over how to fill out the registration forms.
okay,
You probably already know how to do that, but
yeah, I just thought a little review
For the
with
new
her. Sorry I'm late.
that's okay. For the new people, we're just telling them how they can do that. Now, so how do you know if their test scores are good enough for them to get into, Math 150 or English 101? Well, you have test scores here, but those don't mean anything to you unless you know what the scores are. So you can go back to here, and we actually do have, if you go to faculty and staff, and you click right here, advising. Now, I print these out. Here are the Yep. This is English Placement Advising Resources. I thought we had,
Who are you looking for?
I'm looking for the,
Like all the test,
the placement tables.
Can you search it in the search bar?
That should be in the, full placement tables under important advising documents and forms.
Where?
Under important advising documents and forms, it says full placement tables.
Oh, okay, good. Click on full placement tables, okay? Thank you. So anyway, I print these out, and I actually keep them inside my catalog, so I can just look at them. So this, you look at this particular student, you look at their test scores, if they are able to get into, say, Math 150, there are several different tests that they could take. They could either take an ACT Math, they could do GED College Readiness, Ed Ready, Coyote, and what courses. We do the Coyote and the ACT, right? I think those are the ones we do. So you want to look at their ACT score for math, okay? If they have a 19 or higher, they can get into Math 150 or Math 100. If they have lower, if they only have a 14, or if they don't have a 19, they have an 18, then they would have to go into Math 61.
and this will, does this change every semester? I mean, not,
It sometimes changes if they
so
do
we should
curriculum.
print it every semester?
I would, because sometimes it changes due to system changes and
Sure.
curriculum changes.
Okay.
Okay, so, if they have an ACT math score of 22 or higher, then they can get into Math 150.
Yeah.
Okay. If they have a Coyote score, a K algebra of 14 or higher, they can get into Math 150. And same thing, you have it for English, reading, you have it for reading, and you have it for English. So again, you're looking at either, now, sometimes you can look at their high school GPA. So to get to their high school GPA, you have to go to OnBase. It's all uploaded into OnBase, and that's a whole different story. Okay? But I'll show you that either, yeah.
And test scores can only be 4 years old.
And these test scores can only be 4 years old, thank you. If they're older than 4 years, they have to retake it. That's a new change. So look at the testing on it. So let's go back to my student here. And let's look at her test scores. In math, she had a 23. So I'm gonna go back up here to math. So she had a 23 in math, so she can get into Math 150 or any course higher than that.
So when it says Math 150 or any course listed below,
Yeah. Some people don't need Math 150.
what?
Some people may only need Math 110 for their program.
Oh,
So if she's good for Math 150, she can get in any of those.
okay.
Some programs only require Math 110, not 150.
And that book tells you what Math 150 is?
Math 150 is
Until
college
you
algebra.
learn the
Yes,
codes,
yes.
okay.
So let's go back here again and look at her test scores. Her English ACT was 17. So let's go back now and see what English. Her English is 17th grade. Tell me what class she's qualified for.
English 17, and you said that was ACT?
ACT.
That is the 14 or higher, which would be English 5 or higher? Or English 101 with English
So
100?
she would have to take
She has
the
to
English
take-
She'd have to
101
have the
with the
hybrid
100.
class.
Yes. She has, she doesn't have the 18 to get her in just English 101. So you need to check their test scores to make sure that you're placing them in the proper class. And that's important because they may not, if we would have put her in English 101 without the 100, she may not be successful.
Yeah.
And we want her to be successful.
So I'm actually looking at one of my students right now that has an English ACT of 16, which would put them in that English 101 or 100.
Right. If you're using the ACT, now does
If
she
I'm
have,
using ACT.
does she have a Coyote or?
It shows for her, cause I got it pulled up right here, if you want to just see it. I've never put, it looks like it's all ACT schools.
Look, then you look at all of them, because one of them might put her in English 101, and one might put her in English 101 with 100.
What should you do at that point?
Then you
though?
discuss it with
Yeah.
with them. You say, how do
So
you
how,
feel?
cause I'm just seeing all ACT, we're not the
Well,
workshop.
that's how she got.
That's all she got.
And then again,
Right.
with the data.
Yeah, that was that.
Yeah. So they need to have it within 4 years.
Okay, so that is gotta be read.
Okay,
Yes,
but then
yes.
we document it, like we had
So
a
within 4
conversation.
years.
Cause this is one of the ones that I keep trying to get read.
You know, just.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
anything
Someone
or
listening, hey, try to get
Yeah.
it, try to get it, try to get it back.
Well, I mean, I don't know where you would.
Well, it was fun, is I had it in class at the beginning of the semester.
Maybe.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know.
which was weird.
So that's what your taters are. Print those out.
Yeah.
Put them wherever you keep your advising stuff, because you're gonna wanna look at that, and you're probably not gonna wanna have to jump
And
back
those
and
change
forth.
just about every year, I get a new one every year.
Yeah,
It's
they
like-
do, so print them out every
So
year.
basically, every year when we do our PD
Yeah.
training, that's about the time we get those up there. I think, if I
Right.
remember right.
You'll get these at the beginning of every semester.
Okay.
And if they change, I'll tell you what changes have happened. And they do change because curriculums change.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we used to not have Math 61.
Right.
Now we do, so they
Exactly.
changed.
Yeah.
All right, so that will tell you as far as how your testing goes. And going back to this form now, this form here, that's where you want to look for that prerequisites. That's why you want to look at these test scores. They've either been met by the test scores or they've been met by previous coursework. Anything else they can be met by? I don't think so. All right, then now look at number 3. Online registration has been activated. You have to activate this for your students so that they can go online and enroll. The way you do that is, let's go back to our PeopleSoft student. There's our little student. I have it in my favorites. It's called Self-Service Enroll Permission. All right, notice you've got all these terms here. You're gonna add a term, if you don't already have it on there, and you might put in 4, we already have hers already in for the spring. We might add summer, 4202, and then you always have to click manual override as well. So click, this one's always gonna be clicked usually. So make sure both these boxes are clicked and save it.
Can you show it again?
Yeah. Both,
No, go back to her. Hey, what did you do?
Yeah, cause you got yours saved,
I'm gonna show y'all how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you how to do
I
that.
can't find
Cause you put it in favorites and then you don't have to do all those little crumbs. It just looks like it, but basically, if you look at the very top, your main menu, student administration, student records, advisors, self-service enroll. But once you get here, all right, let me just show you how to do that. Once you get here, you see these little bars right here? Click on that and add to favorites. Then it'll go to your favorites over here. See, that makes it so much easier. That way you've got exactly what you need and what you're gonna use. So click on those little bars, add to favorites, then you go over here to favorites and click on it.
I
And then,
still haven't found the self-serve enroll page that we got to yet.
okay, I'll show you in a minute. I'll show you in a minute, okay?
Alright.
But anyway, what you're gonna do, make sure you click both those boxes and save it. Then you're gonna check here, yes, that you did activate their self-service enroll.
Can you do that once they're there and you?
I do it right while they're in my office, that way I remember I've done it. Then, I sign it, they sign it, keep the white copy, give them the yellow copy, and then they can go to the Start Center or any computer lab on campus and enroll. But they can't if you don't check both those boxes and save it. All right? Now, we were talking earlier, the terms. The term code at the front is either gonna be 4 is the first number for our term right now, and I think that changes in the decades. Yeah.
I know it changed this
Yeah,
year.
but right now it's 4. Then it's the academic year, so our code right now is 419 for academic year 19, and 6 is for spring. You got 2, 4, 6.
I just have to make a list and.
2 is summer. If it ends in 2, it's summer. If it ends in 4, it's fall. If it ends in 6, it's spring. Now, it took me forever to figure that out. I mean, forever.
I had mine written down like this before. I had it down as 2 fall, 4 spring, 6 summer.
See, look right here, 4174. She took classes in the fall of 2017. 4176, she took classes actually in the spring of 18.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's.
So officially, our school year starts in the summer, then not in fall.
Well,
Okay.
according to this, it does. 2, 4, 6. 4 is always gonna be fall, 6 is always gonna be spring, 2 is always gonna be summer. And then the year will be in the middle. Okay? Like I said, it took me forever to figure that out. I used to have to call, I think I probably had to call Tammie, what term do I put down this time? And finally I figured it out.
That's what I do, I have a cheat sheet, we'll
Yeah.
stick it, no, it's got it in there.
But for newbies, you know, you don't know this, you know, I mean, even when I've been here for years, like, what term are we on now, which one is it? You know, it took me forever to do that. So again, you activate it, say yes, you give them the yellow copy, you keep the white copy and send it to admissions as soon as you can.
So, we will probably we're gonna get advisees starting
In
the
the
spring. So, will we be advising them mostly for summer since we're in that
All right,
semester?
all right, open registration starts in the fall, October 1.
Okay,
So people will register for spring classes starting in October.
right,
In the spring, open registration starts March 1.
uh-huh,
They'll be registered for either summer
Summer or-
or
okay,
fall, both.
okay, got it, okay,
So come March, y'all are gonna have advisees.
Sure, yeah.
You're either gonna be you're advising them for summer or fall.
fall,
And,
okay, okay, yep,
Okay,
yeah.
any questions?
Yeah. Is it possible that you don't have access to?
It is possible you don't have access
I'm
yet.
like, I don't see
I
it on
just,
the list.
you probably, Monica and Amanda, you probably don't have your access, did you have yours yet?
I signed a thing yesterday, but it,
I have requested you all to get that access, and when you do, I'll come to your office and help you set up your papers.
Okay, good.
Yeah. You probably don't have access yet, but we have requested it.
Oh, good.
did you get a thing yesterday? Some people saw.
Okay, any questions
Initiating
on
the
that?
pink message on it. I got one. Afternoon, so you probably hear it.
Let me see if I got everything. All right, I'm pretty much on schedule, I think. So we talked you got your manual.
Yep.
Everybody has, if you're new, you have a manual. If you're not new, then we do have the manual on the advising website, on our homepage website, under advising. So faculty and staff, if you go to faculty and staff, then you scroll down, right here's advising. I actually do have we have all kinds of things here. Every bit of this is in your manual. This is in your manual, and the advising manual is right here. So if you don't have a manual, you can print it off. If you're new, I gave you one, and it's the same thing I just gave you.
Hey Kim,
Yes.
just FYI, I've got all those documents also on the HCC SharePoint site.
Or they're also
So
on
if the website is down, you can go to SharePoint,
Okay.
and I've got an advising menu option. You can go and download all those as well, so.
But me, you know, sometimes if I'm advising somebody and I've got things pulled up on the screen, I don't have time to go in here and figure it out online, so I look it up real quick in my notebook, so that may help you there.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions on that? We talked about terms, test scores, we talked about the registration form, self-service enroll. Okay. Anybody else, questions there? We're gonna go through this, and we're gonna work through them so y'all can see it. But I just wanted, first to kind of go over some of the basics.
Quick question. Can you show them, like, they get an advisor come in who's been to, America?
Oh, good idea, yeah. If you get a student who comes in and they say, okay, I went to, Lorie, or I went to, let me go back to my favorites and we pull somebody up. So we're just gonna go here to, let me just put in a different one. Let me see if I know somebody who's actually gone somewhere else. I don't, but we'll see. Okay, so this is another student. Say she says, well, I took English 101 at USI or Ivy Tech. Okay. I don't know that for sure, but I had to find out. Go here to test, transfer, credit. She hasn't taken anything anywhere else. But had she taken something somewhere else, it would have listed those. I wish I could find somebody.
Oh, I got one. Put in, Justina J. She got a bunch from USI.
What's her last
Last
name?
name is J, J-A-Y. First name is Justina, Justina.
Okay, so Justina J, let's look at her, here's her, here's everything about her now. No negative service, her test scores. Now, she's got some compass scores, but now remember, look at the date. If they're not 4 years, if they're not within 4 years, they're too old to use. So look at those dates. We can't use her compass when we're right at it.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Are you looking at the month to make, it just expires?
4 years.
So, okay, from the
4
month.
years. Now, let's look at her test credit. All right, she has taken, courses at University of Southern Indiana. So she took this course at University of USI. It transfers in for our COM 252. So she doesn't have to take that again. It transferred in.
And how, you knew that, why? Because it's under the transfer tab?
Or look, the very first column is the first 3 columns.
Yeah.
That's what she took at USI.
Okay.
Okay. Now look where it says equivalent course.
Oh, yeah.
COM 252.
Okay.
So that, she's already got that.
Oh.
She's already got English 101, 102, general psychology, sociology, basic algebra, but she won't have to take those again. They transferred in.
Oh, okay.
So if they tell you that they've gone somewhere else, look at the test transfer column. That way you'll know not to put them in that class again.
Yeah. So now USI though, that's pretty regional. What if they came from somewhere like?
Anywhere they come from, they have to bring their official transcripts from that school.
Okay.
And the registrar will then evaluate them
Okay.
for equivalence.
Got it, okay.
And it'll be whatever college it is. It'll be
Okay,
that.
got it. All right.
Good.
Sorry.
Yes, no, I'm glad.
Okay, so they should know also on the gate, see where it has grades and then the ones that have P's on them for passing? If they have a P on it, that means none of those are gen eds. Those can only go in your technical electives.
If
Because
it's
that
P,
is the
it's
question
not
too, yeah,
gen
if
ed.
it's a P. if
It
you
can
get
count as an
transfer
elective, but it can't count for a gen ed or graduation.
Say that again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
well-
whenever I do the evaluations and I do, I transfer them over, anything that's a gen ed will have a grade on it. It transfers with the grade. If it has a P for passing, that is gen ed, it will be technical electives only. So that's an easy way to see, to tell which ones you can use for gen eds and which ones you cannot. The
Now, see,
passing ones will be
when they
technical
get ready,
electives.
when they look at the transcripts to certify that someone is able to graduate, they have to have so many gen ed hours.
Right.
All right, so if that course has a P on it, it can't count for your gen ed. No. If they have a letter grade or a course that transferred in, it can count for gen ed. If they have a P, they can count it as an elective, because you have to have so many hours of electives too. But a P course a P grade cannot count as a gen ed. Okay. You probably won't need to worry about that, but that's just something they'll find out in the registry.
But the bottom line is, P grade cannot,
Count for gen ed.
okay.
It can count for technical electives.
Any of that stuff.
Yeah, it can count for technical electives.
And those, transfers that I got pulled up right here, one of my guys, this is all
Other
transferred
tests
from his high school. This is equivalently his, AP test out here.
Site, all those.
If they transfer in from their high school, then it was,
If it's an AP test, and it says history 109, that's the
Oh.
equivalent course that you would have to take. That one equivalent for 108, that was the equivalent for equivalent.
Yeah, I believe they're all
And I'm glad you
Ps.
brought that up.
They're all Ps.
I'm glad you brought that
So I
up.
mean,
AP credit will only transfer over as pass, but it can be a gen ed.
Okay.
So, but if you see the others down there where it says TRN and stuff,
Yeah.
APs will be on top, and we can't put grades in those, they're passed, so I'm glad you said that.
All right, yeah, 'cause I just pulled up one of mine that I knew I had.
Yeah, I know that.
AP scores are gen
You can't
eds.
count that.
Yeah, your APs are gonna be that, and
No,
they're
there's
always
always
gonna be
some.
passed, yeah, I was like, I'm
There's
glad
like,
you said
there's a
that.
million situations you can run into, so
Yes.
we're not gonna cover every single
Yeah.
thing today, we're just gonna try to cover the basics. Okay. Any other questions? Y'all are bringing up some good questions. Yeah.
I got a question for Reefer probably, because I just found the self-service enrollment.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
So I tried to add it to my favorites. Why is it changing the name of one of my other favorites and kicking one of my other favorites out of the list when I do that?
That's a PeopleSoft question that I actually don't
Did you
know.
click add to favorites?
Yeah, and when I did,
Did
and
you-
I looked at my favorites, it took out one of my other favorites.
Is that a deal?
These
These are
they
your
have
favorites
students
right
named it
here.
when you saved it, it's always gonna
These
go
are
back
the
to that
ones that
name.
you use. It doesn't matter though anymore, but eventually that will move in. All right, any
Everybody
other
should answer
questions
my
on
question.
this?
Okay. That's, hey,
We'll come back to it, we'll come back and we'll walk through some of these. All right, now I'm gonna turn it over to Tammie Zuber. She is our assistant registrar. So Tammie, you can come on up and share some news. We'll come back to this. Like I said, you're gonna run into every kind of situation, and none of them are, no two are really the
The
same.
things with this though, they're always gonna have the TRN on them, like that with the Ps. Those are the ones that's always gonna be your electives, and the APs are gonna be on top up there. And they'll have pass also. I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about the Start Center, what we do, and about the orientation, the information we give them, so that when they get to you, you know what we've already told them and went over with them. Cause
Let
when,
me just say one thing.
Sure.
New students, if they've never been to our college before, they will go through new student orientation. So you won't get new students, right? You're only gonna get students who have been here at least a semester.
yes.
Okay.
So once a student puts an application in, whether they're new or returning, they'll get their application put in, we pull those and process them, and they immediately get sent an email. And I don't really like that email because it confuses, like high school students who are wanting to come next year, because it says, call right now and make your appointment, which they do not need to do. We send them a letter that let them know that they need to make an appointment with us. At that time, they will call us. We have to verify, do they have their test scores and do they have their transcripts in? We do not set up orientation until we have all of that. So we'll meet with the students. If they need testing, we'll pull it up and look to see if they need testing. If they do, then we'll send them to Pam, and then we'll go over their advising with them, like if they're nursing, I will go over the point scale with them, I go over the conference, I go over the nursing, thing and the associate science, I explain all of that to them. Once we go through that, their program and what they want, we'll set up the testing with them. We will not schedule the orientation yet. I'll give them the dates, I'll give them my card, and then once they test and we have their transcripts, we set up orientation. And we do that because last year, our orientations, we would have 40 in there, and we might register 10 because nobody had test scores and transcripts. And that, we have to count for that now. We have to have so many that register, so now we're doing that, and we register at 100% every time. So, that has made a difference. So once they go do that in orientation, we send them to the orientation. We go, we'll set their accounts up with them.
From the class officer.
I wish I brought, the slide thing to show you a little bit of it. We just go over the general things. We talk about our academic resources we have here and all the things that are available to them, our services. We talk about tutoring. We go through, like I said, we set up their accounts. We make them take pictures of everything that they've set up, their questions, their usernames, and all of that, their security questions. Once they're in there, we show them where to see their advisor. We stress to them that we are not their advisor, though I get that phone call every single day. I don't know my advisor. When I get to that screen, I'm like circling it, and it's like, this is who your advisor will be. We let them know when the next registration is, when they need to contact you. We will register them for first semester. We tell them that. And for second semester, they have to go to their advisor, which they're like, no, but yes, we do. Every day, you register? Yep, I did, but I cannot do it this time. I'm sorry. So you will get them the second semester. Now, if you come up and you help during orientation and help us register the students, I have made binders for all of you guys. In it will be like the grid that she showed you, the placement grid. It's in there. Every program's in there telling you what to do for your first semester, like the one you guys sent for approval and stuff. It'll tell you what IDO first semester courses are. It tells the information, who's the coordinator and the contact information. So it'll have everything in there that you need. And also, if you help at orientation, it'll have a grid of every person in orientation, and it will already tell you what they're eligible to take. So you won't have to look at any of that stuff. It'll say, they can take Mac 150, 100, English 101, 100, they're exempt from reading. So that will all be done for you guys at that point. But during orientation, we also show them how to use visual schedule builder. I have them build a schedule to show them how quickly you can do that. We show them how to search for classes. We show them what the schedule looks like because a lot of students can't read the schedule, so we go over the house schedule and show them what it looks like. I make them go through the academic calendar and make them do a worksheet on the academic calendar so they can read, when the classes start in. So I have a lot of different scenarios on there. They have to go through them, we'll find the dates for that. We talk about the semesters. We talk about what credit hours are, because how many of them don't know what a credit hour is, what full-time is and part-time. So I go over all of that with them. And then we go over financial aid part of it too. And we'll go over that. We tell them about SAP and term Title IV and all that stuff. So once they get through all of that, then we'll bring them down to the Start Center, and that's when we'll register them for their first semester classes. And, we'll sit and talk to them about what do they want, and we use those guidelines that we have gotten from all the coordinators as to what they want them put in for the first semester.
Important thing is, they only get advised by the Start Center when they're a new
First
student.
semester.
After that, they're yours.
Now,
Don't send them back to the Start Center to get advised.
If they're a returning student though, or they're a transfer, like say they were here, a year ago, even a year and a half, we do make them go back through the orientation to set their accounts back up, and we do register them again at that point. So we do
But they're
see some
current.
that aren't
They're
new,
current.
But anybody who's a continuing current student, we do make them go to you guys. If they come to us, we will send them back to you guys. because we have had that happen, that, you know, they were sent to us to do it, and, because we used to, we would do it every time, and be, that we, there's not enough people to do it and everything, so now we just, you know, they do have to go back to who their advisor is.
And advising is part of your job as faculty. It's something you put on your PPE. So that's why, you know, once if they're continually enrolled, they become your advisees if they're interested in your area.
Yeah, I mean, and once they get to the Start Center, you know, we send some of them to Angie Watson, you know, who does the career services. I've sent several there lately, you know, because she's a very good resource. We make sure they talk to financial aid too at the time. So by the time they leave after that first appointment, they've either have everything done and orientation scheduled, or, you know, they set up for their testing, you know, when they're getting their transcripts to us. So everything at that point's done and they're ready for orientation. You know, we went through their program plan, we went through, you know, classes they'll take, we're showing them the stuff, so they're pretty well, you know, they're ready.
And another thing I want to mention, new student orientations are scheduled all throughout the semester, each semester, and we ask for volunteers to help with that. If you're new and you've never done it before, you might want to go over and observe somebody, just watch them, see what they do, because you can learn a lot from watching somebody else.
Yeah.
Fred did.
Yeah, I did that last year, helped me out a lot this year. Really did.
Because, you know, right now, we're just going over everything. Now, when you actually get somebody in your office, you're going to think, what did she say?
I know.
Wait a minute, I don't
Yeah.
remember now, you know?
And there's 1,000 different things that'll come up, I'll be like, oh, wait a minute, you know, I mean, even still, as long as I've done it, you know, something will come in, I'll be like, I've seen that before, you know, let me see what, you know, what it's gonna be.
And don't be afraid to call somebody and ask them
Oh, yeah.
if they're not sure.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I call over there all the time. Wait a minute, I don't know what's going on. Why is this person getting this thing about their, you know, their financial aid not paying? I went right on to this.
But we just try to get them ready in the Start Center and get their first semester done, so by the time they get to you guys, you know, you can specialize in what they need, you know, to get them in that program that they're in. Just get their feet wet and shut them all out.
And you said you teach them visual schedule builder?
Yes, I show them visual
Do
schedule
they
builder.
use it?
Some of them have, and I've been very happy about that, because when I'm doing the presentation, I'll tell them, you know, what if you wanted classes on a Monday and Wednesday only?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time for you to go back and forth in the
Yeah.
schedule, because I'll take a piece of paper and write it down and say, oh crap, that one don't work, no, I'll put another one in. And I'm like, in less than a minute, I can
Visual
show
schedule
you.
builders will do it for you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's why I said
tool.
less than 5 minutes, you can set your whole schedule up, you know, so I'll give them 5 classes to put in there. And the 5 I put in there, there's like 6,500 different schedules you can do.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh. And
When
I'm like,
somebody says, I don't wanna take class until after 10 and 11,
Yes.
and I gotta be out of here before 2, cause I gotta
Oh,
pick
yeah.
the kids up. So you can
I
kill
remember that
off
one we
this section,
went,
kill
yeah.
off that section, just
Yeah.
look for everything.
yeah,
in
you just
between.
gray out the areas that you don't want, and you just start clicking through it, you know, and I'm like, now pin it, now look, it's down to 1,000, you know, pin that class there. You know, on the last orientation I did, man, it just fell into place. It was like Tuesday, Thursdays I wanted, and it was less than a minute, and they were like, oh my goodness. I'm like, so that quickly you can do it. And I have had them come back in and go, I just did the visual schedule builder, and I want these classes on this. I'm like, awesome, you listen to me.
Yeah.
So that does help a lot. And when I don't use it, when I'm advising down there, they'll ask me, well, how come you're not using visual schedule? I'm like, I just don't have a bullet yet, I'm sorry, you know. But it is, you know, and they do, you know, pay attention to that.
The other good thing about Visual Schedule Builder is that it will,
Oh, look, those are my classes, yeah.
it will tell you how many people are already
Yes,
enrolled
how
in the
many's
classes.
in it.
Yeah.
You already got 7 people enrolled in that class.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so
Good.
they're very.
Scott's gonna talk more about
Yes,
it.
I was just saying I do show them this at orientation, you know, and that they do use it, which makes me happy. Any questions on anything else we do at orientation or in the Start Center? No.
Yeah, you know, now there are some advisors who don't like to use technology. Okay,
They're
now,
out there.
yeah, they would rather sit down and look everything up, and that's fine, that's perfectly okay. If that's what works for you, then that's okay. But it is so easy, and
Yep.
it makes things go so much faster.
Especially if you want to keep them at Henderson, just click on, you want to just see Henderson
Oh,
classes
yeah,
first.
Yeah.
And
If
we
you got
wanna
some
keep them
online,
at, we wanna keep them at Henderson.
If there's some online classes that maybe you think that we don't have, you know, you can always look up some of those. I'm a big fan of it.
If there's a student that wants to take a class at another section,
Yeah.
let me, and they, like, for the reason, like, if there's an instructor they wanna take, or if they're taking, you know, with a friend, let me know so that I'm not going back trying to pull them back into our section.
Yeah.
Cause
Oh,
what the, cause I run that report and I see, you know, somebody
okay.
took this class at Hazard online, and so that way I'm not going back and trying to pull them.
Right, right.
So that way, you know, it just, and plus it drives the student crazy because, you know,
That makes
you
sense.
put them in there and then
Yeah.
here I am, I'm trying to contact them. Hey, I noticed you've done this.
I
so-
noticed, yeah.
Is that when you're?
Okay, we're gonna have, Scott Taylor, Dr. Scott Taylor, talk to us about the first year experience class. It's now required for anybody who's taking an AA or AS, Associate in Arts or Associate in Science degree. It's now a requirement. If you're in the technical programs, it may or may not be a part of your program. But new students, unless they meet an exemption, they have to take FYE and scholars training, what those are. I'm gonna turn it over to him. And, do we need a break? Anybody need a break? We'll do this, and after he gets done, we'll take a break.
Again,
We'll
these
need one
are my
after
favorites,
Scott.
so, there's no place to drink it on the base. You just gotta go to it. All right.
I just go to my pad, it's in my pad.
Yeah, it's in my side, it's in mine.
So y'all might wanna go to, well, kind of follow along whenever he gets there. Go ahead.
All right. Well, how y'all doing today? I don't need to introduce myself. Everybody knows me well enough. I can just say hi. I'm Scott, right?
Hi, Scott.
All right. Hi. So 3 things that I was asked to talk about: first year experience, visual schedule builder, and interactive degree plans. Now, let me think. There's been more, but Tony Strawn, Katie Griffiths, Dr. Chris Williams, our chancellor, several others have told me in the past that I have this really bad habit of speaking in acronyms. And I think Tony once said, you know, seasoned faculty sometimes have trouble keeping up with you because you just, you know, VSB this and IDP that and
LOL.
all, yeah, LOL, OMG,
FYE.
CPA, PTA. So anyway, if I say something and you want me to ask what does that mean or what is that acronym or whatever, just cut me off, let me know, and I'll happily backtrack a little bit and tell you what it is I'm going to say. So first year experience, or FYE. So there are, about 4 things I want to touch on. What is it? Who takes it? Maybe differentiate among some of the other similar courses. At HCC we offer FYE 105. That's the only FYE that we offer currently. But there are other options out there, and we have offered Gen 100 a long time ago. And then program applicability, because that's a new thing and it's really complex, and I still don't think that I fully understand all of the minutia there. So what is FYE 105? Well, that is, it actually came out of our last QEP. Do you remember our last QEP, Kim? So,
I was there.
so our last QEP was actually advising, and one of the outcomes, one of the products from our QEP was we developed FYE 105, and then the rest of the system adopted it, of course, and now it's a graduation requirement for the AA and AS to transfer degrees. So what do we cover in FYE 105? Well, some of the competencies are developing a goal-based academic agreement, or GBAA, which is essentially a plan of how are you going to get from where you are now to graduation. And there's a lot to that, of course. There's a career aspect. One of the papers, at least in my class, that they have to do is a career paper, but there has to be an element of career exploration, transfer, both from 2-year to 4-year, or you know, maybe even transfer within the KCTCS, because we have plenty of students who they start here, they want to get physical therapy assistant or something like that. We don't have that, so they may go to KCTCS institution. Campus resources, so financial aid, career services. How many of y'all knew that, at least we used to, I know that the buses, that's kind of a change, but we used to have a bus token program where students could get bus tokens and come out here. How many of y'all knew that? Okay. So a lot of you all know that I usually, actually Angie Watson does it, but I'll send out every semester a community services syllabus statement that you can, if you want to put in your syllabus. So those sorts of campus resources, information technology, and what I mean by that is Blackboard, email, visual schedule builder. The class kind of goes into some of those online resources, technical resources. That's mandatory in FYE. You have to have some sort of online or LMS. Oh, there was one. Like Blackboard or something like that. Pearson, some sort of learning management software. Learning management system. Self-management skills. So prioritization, stress management, time management, those sorts of things. And then just strategies for academic success, note-taking, test-taking, those sorts of things. So all of those are in FYE. And the beautiful thing about it is that whatever your strength is, you can really hit that up in the course. So if you teach writing, you're an English type person, then I'm sure you're going to spend a lot more time than I might on how to develop an essay or something like that. Anyhow, so those are the competencies of FYE. It's a really great class, I think, in my opinion. So, who takes FYE? So, effective this semester, all returning students, all first semester students who are majoring in AA or AS have to take FYE 105. There are some exceptions. I'll go into those a little bit. If you look at kind of the language, it's not really explicit, but they do need to take it their first semester. There are some exceptions, but if you look at kind of the rules, it doesn't explicitly say they must take it their first semester, but there's not really any other option for them to do it if you're following all of the rules. Now, you might think, well, I don't necessarily see my advisees during the first semester because they're advised in the Start Center. I might not. So how is this relevant to me? Well, keep in mind that when Tammie and Chad go in, or whoever, when whoever goes in, Tony, whoever, and they notice that one of your advisees is not an FYE 105, because whoever, for whatever reason, they're going to contact their advisor, not necessarily the person who registered. So I guess what I'm saying is you may get an email about a student that you've never met before saying, hey, your student is an FYE 105. I understand it might be frustrating to have to go back and contact a student, especially if it's not your fault. But that's what I'm letting you know is you may get an email or a phone call from somebody saying, hey, one of your advisees or these advisees are not in FYE 105. And there might be a good reason, and we'll go through some of the exceptions. Also, health science technology, it's an AAS, but it's mandatory in that degree. So whether they're exempt from it or not, from our rules point of view, that's part of the degree there. So they actually have to take that. Okay. And then probation 2 students. Probation 2 students have to take FYE unless they've already successfully completed it.
What is a probation 2 student?
Excellent question. Why don't I actually pull up the faculty senate rule? Because I anticipated somebody might ask that question. Can you all see that okay?
Can you make it larger?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Very perfect.
So, probation 1, probation 2. Essentially, the first time somebody has a GPA of 1.0 or less, they're on probation, or we call them probation 1. The second semester, consecutive semester that they are in probation status, we call them probation 2. So a PRB2 student is somebody who's been on probation for 2 or more consecutive semesters. Okay? The way that we kind of work it is if I go on probation, I pull myself up out of it, But then the semester after I go on probation, I'm still just probation 1. So it's consecutive semesters. Okay? And of course, if I sit out a semester and I come back, that doesn't count. I mean, you know, consecutive enrolled semesters. So if a student is on probation 2 more consecutive semesters, they have to enroll in FY105 unless they've already successfully completed it. And if they've already successfully completed it, we make them go to those academic success workshops that you kind of hear about.
The other thing about probation is they're limited to the number of credit hours they can take a semester.
And that's that chart right there.
How does that work with like financial aid?
Their financial aid is, what's the word I'm looking for? Prorated? I don't know.
Prorated.
Okay.
We'll go with that. Okay, prorated. I don't know if that's the right word, but
As long
it's
as it's
adjusted.
in.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's a local rule, by the way. That's not necessarily at all colleges, but here we require our probation 2 students to take FY105. Okay. There are some exemptions here locally. This is local. This is local. So we get in a weird situation sometimes where we have different students from different colleges and students who transfer and that sort of thing. So early college academy students are exempt from taking it. Readmit students who have a GPA of 2.0 or greater and 15 or more college level hours. In other words, if they were out they're from a long time ago and they had a bunch of classes we don't offer anymore, like reading 20, reading 30, math 55, math 65, ENC 91, whatever, those don't count. So they have to be completed, earned, college-bearing hours. Transfer students, basically the same thing. Transfer students with a GPA higher than 2.0, 9 or more hours credit-bearing, would have to be credit-bearing hours, and who have taken the equivalent FYE experience course at their transfer institution, as long as that is at least 1 credit hour. So if it's a half a credit hour or something, a quarter hour or whatever, it has to be a full college credit, full hour of the transfer institution's FYE. Students with 15 or more KCTCS hours, excluding dual credit. How do we monitor if it's dual credit or not? We really don't. So that's one of those. It was somebody really wanted that to be a part of it. We debated about it. We accepted it, but I really don't know how unless Chad or Tammie go in and scrutinize that. Maybe they do. I don't know. But anyhow, so students who have 15 or more KCTCS hours, and then HCC students who change from an AAS to an AA or AS who have 15 or more credit-bearing hours. Again, these can't be developmental.
Yeah, the credit-bearing hours are the ones that are 100 level or higher. If it's Math 061, that's not a credit-bearing course. That's just a preparatory course, but it's not. It doesn't go for a graduation requirement.
Okay. And that was weird. Okay, so I had a thought and I lost it. If I remember, we'll come back to it. If I don't remember, we won't come back to it. A delay requirement. So the delay requirements are a little thick. I know what I was going to say. You don't have to remember all this, by the way. These are our published rules, and Chad usually sends these out every semester. He'll send out a list of probation 1, probation 2 students, and this will be in the email. And if you ever forget, there are plenty of people who have access to this. So you don't have to remember all of these. When you get your probation 1, probation 2 students, you can look at these. And if you're ever unclear, just ask Kim, Tony Strawn, Chad. We're all happy to help. So delay requirement. So if a student comes in, I said it has to be done their first semester. Well, if a student comes in, there's actually a law. It's not just a KCTCS policy, it's a state law. If a student comes in and has developmental needs, they have developmental math, English, whatever, they have to work on those developmental needs every semester until they come out of the developmental needs category, whether they want to or not. And of course, if you tell them they have to take it and they go and drop it on their own, I guess it's on them, but we have to, we cannot let them leave our office until, you know, I don't want to take developmental math, I want to do something. Sorry, you're in you have to be working on your developmental every semester. But they don't have to take 12 hours if they don't want to. So say they have developmental needs in 3 different subject areas and they only want to take 1 class. That's fine. They can take just 1 class, and if they want to take their developmental or co-requisite, same thing. If they want to take their developmental co-requisite reading, they can take their reading psychology that first semester, or reading 185 or whatever. They can do their English 100, 101 that first semester. And if that's the only thing they take, that's okay. We're not going to force them to take FYE in that first semester if they're working on something else. If they're taking 1 or 2 classes at a time, they can put up FYE for 4 semesters. Or until they have completed all their developmental. So if they come in and they have 3 developmental needs, the first semester they take care of 2, the second semester they take care of that 1, their third semester they now need to be an FYE. So it's that 4 max semesters max, or if they've satisfied their developmental co-requisite, whatever's first. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay? And again, your first semester, you may not advise them. But the second semester, if they're sitting in your office, this you do need to know, because they're not going to be going to the start as soon as they come to you. Make sense? Any questions? Okay, some other FYE courses out there of which you might be aware, and this is pretty much if they've taken FYE at another KCTCS institution. FYE is 100 is a 1-hour course. FYE 105 is a 3-hour course. FYE 100 is a 1-hour course. Some colleges say that FYE 100 satisfies their FYE requirement. And that's okay. They're happy. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If they come to us, we're not going to then turn around and make them do FYE 105. Okay? Some colleges have in their exemptions, because Gen 100, it's a really old class. It's basically FYE 105 back in the days. And I forget what it's called, but it's something like, you know, General College Prep or something, and I'm probably totally wrong about that title. But some colleges still offer it. Some colleges, you know, accept it if they've got returning students who have it. We don't. But if a student comes to us from another KCTCS institution, remember greater than 2.0, 9 hours, that institution's FYE, then that might be a cause for us to exempt it because they satisfied it somewhere else. So currently, and it does not count as an FYE. It's not an FYE class, but it's on the exemption list of some institutions. Does that make sense? Okay. Program applicability. Okay. So there is different exemption lists, not the local exemption list, but this is a systems level exemption list for program applicability. And I'm kind of talking more about software than anything. So, federal program applicability, federal regulation says financial aid, federal financial aid can only be used to pay for classes that are a part of a student's degree that they are seeking. FYE is a graduation requirement for AAAS, graduation requirement. So, it's not, it can be elective, obviously. If they take it, it's an elective, but because it's a graduation requirement, we say you have to have it to graduate. Even if a student has 60 hours, we still want them to take FYE. Of course, they'd be exempt if they had that many, but my point is, the software will look at FYE and go, oh, it's a graduation requirement, and it won't count against them. Does that make sense? Okay? So you don't have to worry about FYE 105 holding up a student's financial aid on the program applicability side. Am I being recorded?
Actually, you are.
Well, then I'm not going to tell you about the loophole, okay? You'll just have to figure that out on your own, okay? But I'll just say this. FYE 105 is on the system level exemption list, should not affect program applicability. No class on that system exemption list will affect program applicability. Any questions on FYE 105? If you have any and you think of them later, I'm happy to answer them. I'm totally happy to answer questions. I am not the FYE coordinator. That's Tony Strawn. I was while he was on sabbatical, but I'm happy to answer your questions, although Tony is the FYE program coordinator. So, again, if you see me in the hall, grab me, I'll answer it. If I can't, I'll just defer you to Tony. That having been said, I will just move right along to Visual Schedule Builder. This is basic. I'm going to do basic Visual Schedule Builder today. There is an advanced Visual Schedule Builder training that I can do. I'm not going to do that today. So I'm going to kind of take you into the basic side of it. And I kind of like doing the basic side of it, honestly, because a lot of the advanced stuff, we as a campus and our students, our faculty, we just don't use a lot of the tools that we would need to in order for the advanced to really work as best as it might. So there are two ways to get to Visual Schedule Builder on the website. The first is through education and training. And if you go through education and training and you're not logged into MyPath, you're not going to be logged into Visual Schedule Builder. If you go in through MyPath, once you click on MyPath and you log in, if you go in through Visual Schedule Builder through MyPath, you will be logged in to Visual Schedule Builder. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. I am going to go in through Visual Schedule Builder through education and training so that I'm not logged in. Of course, I think actually since Kim's logged in, I'll be logged in. But I'll go in through Chrome. I'll go through a different browser, and I'm going to show you the Visual Schedule Builder from the not logged in side.
I love this one. This is great. You
And-
try to use this. It will save you a lot of time.
This is one of my favorite tools that we have. When it first, before it rolled out, Kim Hayden at the system office emailed me and said, Scott, I hear you're really excited about Visual Schedule Builder. Would you like to pilot it? Would Henderson like to pilot? I said, heck yes, heck yes. So we were one of the first people, for first colleges, we were one of the first groups who had input, feedback, and we actually, a lot of the features you see in Visual Schedule Builder are because of us, because we kind of piloted it and we tested it. We were one of the first, so that's kind of neat. So here's our website, education and training, and then Visual Schedule Builder. Okay, if you go down, it's the third paragraph or whatever, link right there, Visual Schedule Builder. And I am not logged in, and I don't want to be logged in. I want you to see all the messy features just yet. But if I wanted to, I could go up there and click Sign In. Again, if you're going through MyPath, you'll automatically be signed in. Okay? So there are three panes. Okay, it looks like there's only two. There's actually a third that's collapsed over there. The first pane is the select courses. So that's where we go in and we pick out the courses we want. The middle pane are the results, and that's going to have a visual schedule that we can see. And then there's also a favorites pane, and if we have time, I will show you that. Okay, which you're going to have, because I won't take up the rest of the day. So you have to stop me. You cannot shut me up. You have to throw stuff at me.
Let me see my.
So you have to monitor me, because I will fill up the entire day.
All right, so you
Have stuff
guys.
added from the candy bar.
Oh,
Quarter to 11.
Okay.
Wait,
You
quarter to
guys
10.
got 10:15.
awesome. Not enough time, but I will make it work, okay?
You guys got 10:15.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we've got a student in front of us, and obviously this is just a tool by itself. It's not going to be very useful, but if you use this in conjunction with the interactive degrees, maybe the catalog perhaps, even the PDF print schedule might be useful for a couple of questions that you may have. But this is an excellent tool. It's a great tool. It's my favorite tool. Used with other tools that we have, can make advising really fast, easy, and efficient. Error-free is what we're hoping for. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is select my term. We are currently registering for spring 2020. I have to select my college. I'm going to select my favorite college, which is Henderson.
That should be your first choice, always.
Right, right, okay. Now, that having been said, if you have a student who comes to you and says, I want to take dinosaurs and disasters. It's a really fun class. It really is. It's a really fun class. I took it a couple of years ago. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. We don't offer it. Visual Schedule Builder is a really fast way of finding a class that we don't offer without having to go to every single college website. Or, I'm sorry, John, But what was that? What is that called? KYVU?
KYVC, which is no longer.
Oh, it was awful. It was terrible. It was like a GeoCities site. So,
Yeah.
anyhow, it's a really fast way of finding a class that we don't offer. But we're not doing that. I selected Henderson. I'm gonna ignore campuses. I could go into details about campuses, but I'm just gonna ignore campuses, and I'm also gonna ignore locations. Okay. But if we were dealing with a bigger college, I might show you some more features. But this is the abbreviated version today. Okay, so let's come up with a couple of classes. What are some classes that we want to schedule? What's your favorite class?
Psych 230.
Psych 230. Okay, Psych 230. I don't remember, is Psych PSY or PSH or what, I forget. I'm just going to
PSY.
start typing and then psychology. Oh, look, you don't have to know the prefix of every single class. If you just start typing in close, it will find all your PSY. If I scroll down, it'll find things that have psychology in the description. Okay? So if you're like, I know it's a dinosaurs class, but is it GLO, GLY? If I started typing in dinosaurs, it would GLY 130, dinosaurs and disaster. Okay? It used to not do that, by the way. You had to know everything, so it's gotten a lot more sophisticated. I'm sorry, you said 230?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Medical, and then medical terminology. I don't know the number.
Okay. All right. Let's do a class, and it's a great class. We've got it in there. Let's do a class that we know is going to have many different sections.
English 101.
English 101. Okay. Now, immediately I see. Well, you may not be able to see it because the screen's a bit cut off. I'm going to pull this just a little bit of that. You see that yellow caution triangle symbol? I don't know what that's called. Whatever it is. Obviously, there's something to that. So if we read next to that little warning sign, it says this course contains some class sections that must be taken together with English 100. So some sections of English 101 are standalone. Some sections of English 101 are linked with a class called ENG 100. Okay? And we're not doing placement today, but if we were, I would talk to you about how do you find out all of that out. But some sections are linked. Math 150 is like that. There are some sections that are standalone. There are some that are linked with 100. And Psychology 110 is like that. Some sections of Psychology 110 stand alone. Some sections of Psychology 110 are linked with Reading 100.
And that's that section code 35P, remember, paired? Yeah.
Okay? I'm not going to go too far in depth about the co-linking or whatnot, but I will say it's something of which we need to be cognizant. What's another class that's going to have a lot of sections in it?
Math 150.
MAT 150. And then let's do one more. Let's do, how about FY 105? By the way, I type in FYE, and you remember how earlier I said FY 100 is not offered? We don't offer it. Notice FY 100 is listed, but then parenthetically, not available at selected campus. Okay? If I were to type in BAS, I can't think of one right now, but there are certain classes that are only offered once a semester. Okay? They're only offered in the fall, for example. It would say, parenthetically, not offered in current term. So we would have to go to another college and find it.
Well, I didn't know that. That's very great.
Okay? Same, by the way, same little yellow exclamation triangle. Okay. Now, that's good. That's good. We've got the 4 classes that we know for our little advisee. And in the middle pane, we have, if you notice, 81 iterations of that class. Now, that's great. It's awesome that I've got 81 different options, but I do not want to click through 81 different screens. So there are several ways that we can whittle that down. Okay? One is I could say, did you want to take all online classes or all face-to-face classes in the conversation with the student? If we decided that they did not want to take classes online, I could easily just come over here under Sort Preferences and turn off the online, and then that takes it from 81 to 18. Okay, so that took away a good percentage of the classes. And clicking through 18 different classes is less cumbersome, but I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to click through 18 different classes. So what I could do is I could ask them, do you want to sort? We can sort by most days off, sort by morning classes, midday classes, evening classes, time off campus, okay, which would in this case really be the same thing as most days off, really. Most Monday, Wednesday, Friday, most Tuesday, Thursday. Notice it's built into the system because we don't have Friday classes for the most part. I mean, there's some allied help. But if they're wanting most Monday, Wednesday, same thing as Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The difference is that the sort preference will put the least desirable classes at the end and the most desirable classes at the beginning. Okay? So it may be impossible to get all Tuesday, Thursday classes, but let's just say they want to do mostly Tuesday, Thursday classes. If I click on Tuesday, Thursday classes, I still have 18 iterations, but the very first thing I see are all Tuesday, Thursday classes. Now, if I would have done Monday, Wednesday, we would have had an issue because there's just one section of the PSY 230.
All right, and also look at that section number,
Okay.
35H1. So what does that mean?
Oh, honors.
Honors only.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. So as I click through, I can, if you're like, okay, I like it, but I don't like my FYE time. Can we change that? I need a lunchtime. Well, as we click through, we're still going to get the most Tuesday, Thursday, but it may not be as good as we can. If I go all the way to the end, you're going to see the least compliant sort. Okay, so if the PSY 230 had a Monday, Wednesday section, the very last option will be all Monday, Wednesday classes, because we were sorting by Tuesday, Thursday. Does that make sense? Okay.
See how many people are enrolled already. That's good. You want to see, which classes to put them in, so you know how many seats are taken.
All right. So let me show you how to pin, and then we'll kind of look at some of the attributes and sort of the information down here. Okay. So let's say that we really like the college algebra section. We like the instructor, we like the time, the students like, yes, that's really great, but we don't like the times of some of the other classes. So I really like this section. What I want to do is I want to click through all the different options, but I don't want the Math 150 to change. If I click once, and I can click in a few different places. I can click right here on the actual schedule on the calendar here, and it will pin it down. Or I can click out here, and it will pin it down. Or I can click over here. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's down here, and it will pin right there. Okay, so 3 different places. Down here, right there, or in the actual schedule. And then to unpin, just click it again. Now, by pinning it down, as I click through, notice by the way, the options went from 18 to 7. I can click through, and everything else will change except for the pin down class. Okay? To unpin it, just click it again. What I do is I like to kind of whittle it down. It's like, okay, so you definitely want to take the math at that time once we find the English section we like, and then we can just get down to where there's just basically one option. Okay, so here's a schedule that we really like. Some things I might point out to you. Within the detailed listing here, you've got ENG 101, it's writing 1, it's Tuesday and Thursday, 8 to 9:20. Because the times over there, it gives you a general, but sometimes times are weird. Like the class starts at 9:30 and ends at 10:50 instead of 10:45. Or, this class is 2.5 hours instead of 1 hour and 50 minutes or whatever. So it gives you the specific time. It tells you the start date. This right here has a start date of January 21. You notice over here in the calendar view, it starts a little bit later than all the other classes. So the other classes start on the 13th. This one starts on the 21st. Okay?